So ever since OLED TVs started showing up, most of us, myself included, started resenting our current TVs like my parents did with that one kid that lived in our attic. They never did tell me who he was or what happened to him after we moved. Only problem is, they're not what normal people like you and I would consider, what's that word rich people don't use? Affordable. That's it, affordable. Well, don't fret, fellow normie. Got some good news. LG hooked me up with one of their new 2019 NanoCell TVs that comes with a price that lets you keep your kidney and your firstborn child, but also gets you as close to OLED as possible. But let's be honest, close still isn't OLED. So the design's pretty familiar, but this year we've got even thinner bezels. Like usually the bottom bezels on TVs are a bit bigger than the top and sides, but this time the bottom is just as thin. There's a couple of built-in bottom firing speakers that might not sound as good as my soundbar and subwoofer setup I usually have connected, but it does sound better than the soundbar by itself with much better mids and lows. On the back, we've got some pretty typical ports, but what's really cool, more specifically for gamers, is the 4 high bandwidth HDMI 2.1 ports, which gives us up to 4K at 120 Hz, eARC, and variable refresh rate. It's not AMD's FreeSync, but it is variable refresh, and it supports 45 to 120 Hz, so all that's good news for console gamers. LG's Webos interface is probably the most user-friendly out there. It's clean, it's easy to navigate, and this year we've got Webos 4.0, which comes with some nice changes like hovering over apps on the dashboard like Netflix or Amazon Prime Video reveals a list of content suggestions you can use like a quick shortcut to jump in. Super convenient. And this year we've got Amazon Alexa and Google Assistant baked in, which is pretty neat because aside from the usual boring what's the weather like and where's the closest public toilet, which is something we all ask while sitting in our living rooms, you can do things like control smart lights. So when you're about to watch a movie, you just hold up the magic remote, press the microphone button, and ask it to dim the lights or change the colors, for example. It might seem silly, but it's super useful. Now, speaking of the magic remote, it's pretty similar to previous LG remotes, but now we've got shortcuts to Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, which is actually perfect for me because those are the two main streaming services I use on the regular. So the big buzzword here is nano. Like LG's using terms like nano color and nano accuracy and nano black. So what's all this nano stuff actually about? Well, basically they've rejigged the backlight panel and tossed in some particulates about 1 nanometer in size, hence NanoCell TV, which effectively absorbs and filters out certain light wavelengths and enhances reds and greens, which gives us what LG's dubbed nano color. So you'll be seeing much more accurate colors, and then with HDR content, images are taken to a whole new level. It honest to God looks stunning. But with previous LED backlighting technology, especially with HDR content, you'd see a lot of luma bloom, otherwise known as that halo effect, or even sometimes those ugly thick columns of backlight going down the screen while it's trying to light objects in dark scenes. Well, now we've got what's called full array local dimming, which illuminates individual LEDs, so we got way better contrast, way better deep blacks, and much more precise illumination across the entire backlight panel itself, which translates into finer details. And since it's an IPS LCD display, remember these are still LCD displays, they're just LED backlit, we've got much better viewing angles than something like Samsung's QLED TVs, which are VA LCD displays. So if you're planning on having people over that won't be sitting directly in front of the TV, IPS is the way to go. Anyways, if you're like me and don't feel like paying some professional rando to come by and calibrate it for you, there's a bunch of different picture profiles you can choose from. Personally, I use the ISF Expert bright and dark options with some tweaks to the brightness, backlight, and color temperature settings. But then there's this new AI picture setting you can enable thanks to LG's new Gen 2 A7 processor. So essentially through deep learning, the processor identifies certain scenes and objects and tries to adjust picture settings on the fly for a better overall image. Now, I'll be totally honest, I literally spent an hour playing certain scenes from different content over and over with AI picture on and with it off. I just can't tell the difference. I don't know, maybe it needs more time to deep learn? Anyways, at the end of the day, I'm actually really happy with this TV's performance. I mean, blacks aren't anything like what you'd see on an OLED. It's just not physically possible on a technical level, but the blacks on this TV are probably the deepest I've ever seen on an LCD. The colors are incredible. LG did a legit job with that. So if you are gonna be looking for a new TV, hit up the link in the description because I think there's some promo pricing going on right now. So if you take advantage of that, in addition to keeping your kidney and your firstborn, you might have some cash left over for a new pair of kicks. Who knows? But that's it for this one. If you liked the video, show me some love with that like button and subscribe if you're new to my stuff. But thanks as always for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. Cheers.